I got the divorce papers while sitting in a forward operating base outside Raqqa. No warning. Just a subject line. Let's be adults about this. Attached was a scanned PDF, signed, dated, notarized. My name's Thomas Kane, 35 years old. Sergeant First Class, 173rd Airborne Brigade. I'd been deployed 8 months when Meredith decided she was done waiting. The email was cold and clinical. She had already filed, already cleared out our joint accounts, and already moved her new boyfriend, Aaron, into the house we bought in Tacoma 3 years ago. I stared at the screen for a minute, read it twice, then shut the laptop, walked to the makeshift showers, scrubbed the sand off my skin, got dressed, and went to shift. I didn't say a word to anyone. Back in the barracks that night, I typed a one-word reply, understood. That was it. No fight. No plea. Just protocol. Carter, my bunkmate, glanced over. Everything cool back home? I nodded. Just noise. He nodded back. In this world, we know better than to pry. You let a man handle his own weight. Truth is, I saw it coming. Months before I left, Meredith had started to drift. Subtle things. She stopped asking how my day went. Claimed to be working late more often. Bought a gym membership, but never looked like she broke a sweat. New friends I never met. New passwords. New clothes. I didn't go through her phone. Didn't install trackers. That's not who I am. But I took precautions, secured our deed, copied the marriage license, shifted half my pay into a separate account she didn't know about. Opened a private lockbox where I stored my mom's wedding band and my father's dog tags. I didn't expect her to wait forever. But I didn't expect a PDF either. Meredith didn't know that I'd already gamed out this possibility. She didn't realize I had spent months preparing, not for a fight, but for a retreat with dignity and a counteroffensive of my own. She sent me a summary. I had been preparing for a war. Meredith thought I'd break, that I'd come crawling through satellite Wi-Fi begging for explanations. What she didn't know, what she never understood, is that the Army doesn't train you to react. It trains you to respond. By the time I'd finished reading that email, I'd already shifted into operational mindset. I didn't call, didn't write. I didn't even mention it to my CO. What for? Emotional weakness has no place on mission. What mattered now was control. In the weeks that followed, I reviewed my exit strategy. Everything I'd set in motion before deployment was holding. The separate account had grown quietly. The documents were secured. The house, ours on paper, was protected under a VA loan in my name alone. She'd be in for a surprise if she tried to leverage it. Meredith's email said she was tired of being lonely. Said she'd found someone who actually made time for her. Her words, not mine. And maybe that was true. I had warned her before I re-enlisted. The job comes first. But she nodded, said she understood. Do what you need to, she said. We'll figure it out. She didn't mean that. A month after her message, I got a bank notification while we were prepping gear for a supply drop. Another withdrawal, this time larger. When I checked, the balance was nearly zero. Meredith had bled the joint account dry. My deployment bonus? Gone. Emergency savings? Emptied. That night, I skipped chow and called the bank from the comm center. The rep said the transfers had started the week after I left, small withdrawals at first, then larger ones. All routed to a new account I wasn't on. All legally authorized by her. Nothing we can do, sir, the banker said. She's still listed as a co-owner. I didn't argue, just noted the timeline and moved on. Back in my bunk, I logged into our home security app, something she probably forgot I still had access to. The feed loaded slow on base Wi-Fi, but it was enough. Her new boyfriend, Aaron, was in my kitchen, my Seahawks mug in his hand. My dog, Cooper, sitting obediently by his side. They looked comfortable. At home, like I'd never existed. And that's when something shifted. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Something colder. Focus. This wasn't about a broken marriage anymore. This was an op. I opened my notebook and started planning. First item, call Greg, a former ranger turned real estate attorney. Second, review the refinance paperwork she asked me to sign last year. Third, audit every financial tie we still shared. The PDF was her first move. Now it was my turn. By the time I rotated stateside 2 months later, the operation was already in motion. I didn't tell Meredith I was back. Didn't stop by the house. I landed at Seattle-Tacoma at 0200, grabbed a rental under a different name, and checked into a roadside motel outside Lakewood. Clean. Anonymous. Untraceable. Greg met me 2 days later at a diner off I-5, sliding a thick folder across the table before the waitress even brought our coffee. "You were right to prepare," he said. "You've got leverage. A lot of it." Inside the folder, copies of our mortgage deed, my service-linked title, and the kicker, a refinance application filed 6 months prior with a forged signature. "She tried to cash out equity," Greg said, tapping the line that showed a $62,000 withdrawal. "Only problem is the VA loan's in your name only. She needed your consent. And this?" He pointed to the scrawled name on the signature line. "This isn't your hand." He flipped to a comparison page. My actual signature on a passport. My driver's license. The forged version. "Sloppy," I said. "Lucky for us." There was more. The notary listed on the paperwork? A friend of Aaron's. The appraisal? Inflated. The cash? Already gone. "She moved it into an account under her maiden name," Greg said, "and listed Aaron as a co-borrower. It wasn't just betrayal now. It was fraud. Coordinated. Calculated. And stupid enough to leave fingerprints all over the paperwork. She was playing you," Greg said. "But it looks like Aaron was playing her too. He's done this before. We found 2 similar cases, both involving deployed servicemen. Patterns. Exploits. Weaknesses in systems meant to protect people like me." "So what's next?" I asked. Greg looked me in the eye. "That depends. You want justice? We go loud. Court filings, law enforcement, maybe federal charges. Or you want quiet? We negotiate a full asset surrender and walk away clean." I didn't answer right away, just stared at the ink-stained napkin under my coffee. Meredith had made this war. I wasn't going to lose sleep over which battlefield she had to bleed on. "I want what's mine," I said, "and I want her to feel it." Greg nodded. "Then we go loud." I spent the next week watching. Meredith still didn't know I was back. That was deliberate. She was the kind of person who made mistakes when she thought she was safe. I let her believe that. I drove by the house twice, staying 2 streets over, watching from angles she'd never notice. Aaron's truck was still there most days. Cooper, my dog, was never outside anymore. They kept him locked in, probably because he kept barking at the wrong man. I monitored the home security system from my motel. She hadn't disabled the cloud uploads. She didn't even know the interior cams were still active. I'd added those during my last leave, hidden discreetly in vents and smoke detectors. She must have forgotten. The feeds told me everything I needed. They were living easy, comfortable, as if I'd never existed. As if the house, my house, had always been theirs. One morning I caught a video of a new man entering with a clipboard, realtor badge on his chest. Walked through the place with Aaron, taking photos, measuring rooms. The mic picked up enough. "List it this week," the man said. "Client wants cash and fast." Meredith wasn't even home. They were prepping to sell the house. My house. I copied the footage. Sent it to Greg. Then I filed formal notice with the county recorder's office. Challenge to any title changes or property transfers without my written consent. That locked the deed. They could try to list it, but it wouldn't clear escrow. Later that night, I got a text from Meredith. "We need to talk. Why are you messing with the house?" I didn't reply. 3 days passed. Then another text. "Please. I don't understand what's going on." Oh, she understood. She just didn't think I'd ever fight back. Greg called that afternoon. "We've got what we need," he said. "Fraud. Forgery. Conspiracy to sell without authority. You ready to move?" I was. And I wasn't alone. The FBI had questions too. The FBI meeting wasn't in some dramatic federal office. It was a rented space in a strip mall near Olympia, tucked between a vape shop and a tax prep kiosk. Clean walls, no logos. Just 2 agents, a recorder, and a legal pad. Agent Harrow led the questions. Calm, methodical. "Start from the beginning," he said. "We've had eyes on Aaron Simmons for a while. Your timeline helps us build structure." I gave them everything. The forged refinance. The security footage. The bank transfers. The names, Aaron, Daniel, even the notary tied to the forged paperwork. They didn't blink. They'd heard worse. But they listened closely when I mentioned the VA loan and my deployment orders. "That triggers federal jurisdiction," Agent Harrow said, jotting it down. "Wire fraud involving a federally backed asset. Abuse of deployment protections. That's real time." He leaned forward. "Did your wife know the scope?" I hesitated. "Not sure. She's either incredibly naive or incredibly complicit." "Or both," the other agent muttered. When I walked out of the interview, I felt lighter. Not better, not healed, but engaged, activated, like prepping for a mission with clear parameters. The next day, Meredith sent another text. The realtor says the sale hit a legal block. What are you doing? Still, I said nothing. Instead, I followed her. Not physically, digitally. Through bank subpoenas and Greg's research, we found the account that received the refinance payout. Half the money was already gone, transferred to another man. Daniel Spencer, a real estate agent linked to at least 2 quick cash home flips in the past year. Both involved women recently divorced from deployed servicemen. Both involved Aaron as a contractor on the listings. It was a scheme, a pattern, and I was just the latest mark. Greg called that night. FBI's interested. Spencer's name just linked a third case. They think she was in on it. They think she helped facilitate it, whether knowingly or not. And they're going to find out. I stared at the motel ceiling that night. I didn't want revenge. Not really. I wanted consequences. And they were finally coming. By now, the house was bugged in every way that mattered. Not with mics or wires, but with documents, timestamps, and digital footprints. The trap wasn't metal. It was paper and silence. The final piece came into play on a Friday morning. Greg called. Aaron just listed the house. Daniel Spencer is the agent. They ignored the county filing. I didn't respond right away. Just stared at my black coffee in the motel kitchenette. Cold. Still. Like everything inside me had been for months. Want to let them hang themselves? Greg asked. I nodded. Yeah. That afternoon, I parked 4 houses down and watched. A couple pulled into the driveway. Spencer stepped out with a folder and a fake smile. Aaron followed, giving the tour. The couple smiled, nodded, stepped inside. I checked my phone, live interior cam uploading to cloud. Spencer pointing out the remodeled kitchen I paid for. Aaron bragging about his improvements to the backyard. Meredith wasn't even present. She didn't have to be. She was already complicit. 5 minutes later, another vehicle pulled up. Not a buyer. A black Suburban. Government plates. 2 agents stepped out calmly, approached the open house. They didn't knock. Within minutes, Spencer was in cuffs. Aaron too. The couple watched from the lawn, stunned. They thought they were buying a house. What they got instead was front row seats to a federal indictment. My phone buzzed. A message from Greg. They're in custody. Agents want you downtown tomorrow to finalize statements. You just cracked their entire ring. Still no word from Meredith. Until 3 hours later. What did you do? I didn't reply. She tried again. They took Aaron. What the hell is happening? I waited. Did you do this to me? That was the first time she ever used that word. To me. As if this wasn't the result of her own choices. Her own signature, or rather, her imitation of mine. I sat on the motel bed and typed out 3 words. The same I'd used months ago. You started this. Send. Let her sit with that. The next morning, I sat across from Agent Harrow and his partner in a windowless office downtown. Fluorescent lighting. Metal chairs. No theatrics. Just paperwork and consequence. Your testimony confirms the chain, Harrow said, flipping through a folder. Spencer and Aaron have both admitted to targeting military families. Fast divorces. Quick equity grabs. Below-market sales with kickbacks routed through dummy accounts. And Meredith? I asked. He closed the file. That's murkier. She claims she didn't know the full extent. Says Aaron handled the money. That she thought the refinance was legal. Do you believe her? He shrugged. We believe she signed things she shouldn't have. Lied to lenders. Used forged documents. Whether she knew she was committing federal fraud, that's for the court to decide. I nodded. Do you want to press charges against her directly? I paused. This was the line. The one I'd been walking since I got that email in Syria. All the paperwork, the quiet rage, the prep, it led here. I thought about what I'd seen on the cameras. Her laughing in the kitchen. My dog sleeping at another man's feet. My house being sold out from under me. She gets nothing, I said. She forfeits all claim to the house, the account, my pension. She signs a full confession about the forged paperwork. In exchange, I don't press criminal charges. Harrow nodded. That's within reason. And it spares you a trial. Trial doesn't scare me, I said. Wasted time does. Later that afternoon, Greg drew up the settlement terms. Sent them to her attorney. She signed within 36 hours. Maybe she thought she was escaping something. In reality, she was just getting the soft landing she never gave me. The divorce finalized a month later. Clean. No fault. Legally closed. But I wasn't done. That evening, I walked Cooper for the first time in almost a year. I'd filed ownership transfer the moment Aaron was arrested. Animal control retrieved him 2 days later. He recognized me instantly. Didn't bark. Just leaned into my leg like he never forgot. Neither did I. You expect closure to come like a bang. A slamming door, a gavel in court, some cinematic ending. It doesn't. It's quieter than you think. I sold the house 3 weeks after the divorce was finalized. Couldn't stand to be in it. Too many ghosts in the drywall. Too many nights I'd called from the desert, picturing her there. Waiting, loyal, real. That house was built on a lie, I told myself. I moved north. Small cabin outside Missoula. 2 bedrooms. No neighbors for miles. A creek behind the property that sings at night. I don't lock the gate. No one comes this far unless they're meant to. I put in new locks, changed the address on every account, burned old photos, donated her furniture, kept the dog, the medals, the paperwork. That's all I needed. Scout, renamed from Cooper, new life, new name, sleeps by the front door every night. He doesn't bark unless there's a reason. Just like me. I took early retirement. 20 years in the Army was enough. I don't owe anyone more than that. I fix fences now. Chop wood. Do odd carpentry for locals who pay in cash or venison. It's not quiet because nothing's happening. It's quiet because I chose it. Meredith tried to contact me once. Letter hand-signed. Said she never meant to hurt me. Said she got caught up in something she didn't understand. I didn't reply. I scanned the letter. Filed it with the rest of the evidence. Then burned the original in the wood stove. I don't hate her. That would take energy. I don't have any left for her. What I have is peace. And that's something she'll never understand. 6 months after the settlement, I got a call from Greg. He never called unless it mattered. FBI closed the case, he said. Spencer pled out. 5 years federal. Aaron got 7. Wire fraud, conspiracy, identity theft. What about the others? I asked. There were others, he said flatly. 3 military families. Same pattern. Deployments. VA loans. Quick divorces. Cash sales. Your case tied it all together. I didn't say anything. They'll get restitution, he added. Eventually. Your testimony made that happen. I nodded, though he couldn't see it. It felt hollow. Like I'd won something I never wanted to compete for. Later that night, I went for a walk behind the cabin. Scout trotted beside me, ears up, alert. We crossed the stream, walked up the hill where the cell signal dies. I sat on the stump I'd cut last fall and just listened. Wind in the trees. Water over stone. I used to sleep with one eye open. Kandahar, Mosul, Helmand. You learn to live on high alert. I still lock the cabin at night. Still check angles when I enter a room. But I don't feel hunted anymore. Not by her. Not by what happened. Some nights I wonder how it might have gone if she'd just waited. Just said the truth out loud. That she was scared. Lonely. That she wanted out, but didn't know how. But that's not what happened. She lied. Conspired. Forged my name and handed over my life to a stranger. There's no coming back from that. You don't rebuild what never existed in the first place. I watched the stars rise until the cold settled in my bones. Then I went home. The last time I saw Meredith, it wasn't in a courtroom or through a security feed. It was 6 months ago, in a grocery store parking lot outside Missoula. I didn't expect her there. I was picking up feed for a neighbor's chickens. She stepped out of a rental car, thinner than I remembered, a shadow of that confident woman who used to kiss me goodbye at airports. She didn't see me at first. When she did, she froze. I kept walking. Thomas, she called out. I turned, but only halfway. She looked down. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't answer, didn't nod, didn't offer absolution. You were always the better person, she said, even when I didn't deserve it. Still, I said nothing. Then, I lost everything. You know that, right? I looked at her then. Really looked. You didn't lose it, I said. You traded it. She had no response to that. I got in my truck and drove away. She didn't follow. That was the last time I saw her. No more texts. No more letters. No more interference. Greg says her record will follow her for years. The fraud, the forged signature, the settlement. She's not in jail, but she's not free either. And me? I'm still here. In the cabin. Wood stacked high for winter. Scout sleeping easy at my feet. Some mornings I wake up before dawn and just sit on the porch with my coffee, watching the fog roll down from the hills. Nothing urgent. No incoming. No alarms. I thought revenge would feel like fire. But it's colder than that. Quieter. More complete. She broke something in me. But she built something too. A new man. Sharper. Slower to trust. But harder to shake. I didn't win because I hurt her back. I won because I healed, and she never will.